friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Ellenvoss, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey everyone, welcome in. Today I'm excited to share with you some really important facts about salt, about herbs, how to know if you are salt or electrolyte deficient, and then some really easy tips so that you can start to feel more hydrated, have more energy, get heart health at its optimum place, and drink something that's going to be very delicious. So stay tuned. All of that is ahead. Before we dive into today's content, I would love if you could subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get up to 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. I think I'm at 7.25 as of this show recording. And so if you could help me get there, that would be great. It will just help more people find my channel, find out about my work, and learn about herbs and really simple ways to support your own health using plant medicines. So thank you in advance. Also, like this video, share it if you wish. All right, friends, let's dive in. Let's talk about salt. What is salt? What are electrolytes? Why do we need them? And what happens if we don't get them? And this is, I think, probably one of the more common things I've seen in my clinical herbal practice. I've been seeing clients for over 15 years. And electrolyte imbalance is one that often goes overlooked in the medical profession. I'm also dealing with my 93-year-old grandmother right now. She's been having lots and lots of issues with blood pressure regulation, dizziness. And so I've been working with her trying to figure out what's going on with her health. Why is she so faint? What's going on? And I think at the heart of it, it's electrolytes. So we're going to help her. We're going to get her some blood tests and electrolyte tests. But I have a hunch because she, like so many elderly people, have been told to avoid salt. And that is actually very, very dangerous to avoid salt. Now, there are salts we want to avoid, and there's salts that we need to have. Physiologically, our bodies need sodium chloride. We need potassium. So I want to talk about all of these things because, it might be as simple if you've been dealing with chronic health issues, it might be as simple as adding the right salts and minerals to your diet. So I hope that for many of you listening, making these changes, you'll start to feel better and it's very inexpensive. I'm going to show you my favorite brands of salts and minerals and my favorite herbs I have on hand so that you can just start blending things together in your kitchen and start to feel better. All right, so I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about the salt taste and why that's important. So as an herbalist in my practice, when I teach my students in my herbal apprenticeship courses about chemistry, we start with the tastes. And there are classically about 6 tastes, maybe 8. I teach 10 tastes because it includes some subtle variations, which are helpful when learning phyto or plant chemistry. But one of the vital tastes that we all know and that can very quickly help us understand what is happening physiologically in the body is the taste salty. So we know the taste salty when we eat something that has salt in it, something like even just putting salt on your food. If you notice, like for example, my favorite thing to salt is oatmeal. And I know that sounds kind of strange, people always look at me, but I love salty oatmeal because what salt does is it brightens the flavor of everything else in your food. And you probably had this if you've ever made a soup at home or pretty much eaten anything. If there's not enough salt, the flavor of the whole meal will taste very bland. But when you add salt, it lifts, it brightens, and it enhances the flavors of everything else in the meal. And salt will also help combat the flavor of bitter. So if you have a lot of bitter things in a formula, like an herbal formula or in a dish you're making, and you want to balance that. Or if you've burned your food a little bit, oops, that can taste really bitter. Then you add salt. And, that's, I've saved a few meals that way where I've been like, oh, I burned the chicken a little. Let's add some more salt. And it will cover that taste up. We also know that the taste of salt makes the mouth salivate. It brings fluids to the surface. And at the same time, it helps to hold fluids in the body. If we have too much salt, sometimes we can get worried about having edema or water retention. And that's true mostly if we're eating plain, like table salt or just sodium chloride. And there's a big difference between table salt and sea salt. So if we're just eating table salt or foods in processed foods, like most fast food chains are not using sea salt. They're using just your plain table salt, sodium chloride. It has usually about 97 to 99% sodium chloride, and they make this in a lab. And then they also add in things like iodine or calcium silicate or other things that are anti-caking agents that are not great for our body. Now, we do need a little bit of iodine. That's true. It's good for the health of the thyroid. So we prevent goiter. But in the amounts that we're actually eating table salt, what we're missing that we would get from sea salt if we incorporated sea salt into our diet is a ton of minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium. We need those minerals for electrolyte balance and kidney function in the body. We need calcium. So calcium and sodium play on each other as well for action potential in the muscles, and so does calcium and potassium. So they create these channels by which our muscles can have really proper fluid action. So if we're just getting sodium, but we're not getting calcium and we're not getting potassium in our diet, that action potential can be a little bit skewed. The other thing that can be really dangerous is if we're not getting trace minerals trace amounts of zinc and potassium I mentioned, and iron, that's also going to really mess with the way that our body uses fluids and uses water. And we know that calcium and salt are required also for nerve function. So that's the functioning of our brain and the functioning of our nervous system. And one thing that's really interesting is if we don't have enough magnesium in our diet, magnesium does the opposite of calcium in the body. So if we have too much calcium, um, magnesium is a calcium channel blocker, which can help with overactivation of our nerve impulses and our nervous system. So if we don't have enough magnesium, our body, we think about having nervous stress. Well, we can have nervous stress and we can have too much calcium pushing those activating channels in our body and not enough of the calming, relaxing channels being counter activated if we don't have magnesium. So sea salt has that in it. So, if we're not eating enough vegetables, a lot of us aren't, sadly, if you're not eating 5 servings of vegetables and fruits a day, then you probably are going to be low in these minerals. So just simply modifying, taking out table salt and putting in sea salt, you're going to start adding in these trace minerals. But for a lot of us, that's not enough. There have been some studies I wanted to share with you that I thought were really interesting about the effects of table salt versus sea salt. So, research shows that low levels of salt in the body can have a damaging effect on cardiovascular health, increasing hypertension and cardiovascular disease. And so we've been told a lot that, you need to have a low salt diet if you have hypertension. But really, we still need to have salt. And studies have shown that processed salt is metabolized and works very differently in the body and very differently on the kidneys. So part of the way that our kidneys process and release fluids, which we need so that we don't have edema, hypertension, is with the balance of these electrolytes and minerals found in sea salt, not found in processed iodized salt. So we're starting to see more links in science and in the research showing that eating a diet very high in processed salts is more damaging on the kidneys and on the cardiovascular system than a diet that is active or it has moderate amounts of sea salt in it. So basically, what I'm saying here is if you're looking to enhance your body's health, reduce processed foods and processed salts, add in sea salts. Now, there's more that's really interesting. So, trace minerals create a more balanced electrolyte profile, making it more effective in supporting hydration and general electrolyte balance. Also, the potassium that we find in sea salt counterbalances the high risk of salt in the diet that can cause hypertension. So, if we're eating foods and herbs, I'll tell you some herbs that are high in potassium, then you can start to still get salt and electrolytes, which your body needs for nerve health, muscle health, cognitive function, and without the risk of hypertension. So I think I'm going to give you a list of these that are going to be very, very helpful for you. And I think last, what I wanted to say is that this is something that Matthew Wood, one of my herbal teachers, taught me. He said that water without salts is lacks intelligence. And I was like, what does that mean? And basically, he's written this in a number of his books. He wrote a wonderful book recently. I'll include a link in the resources on the extracellular matrix, so the fluids outside of the cells, and how important electrolyte balance is in the interstitial fluids of the body. And so basically, what happens is if we're drinking water without any minerals or salts in it, it doesn't tell the body anything. But as soon as we add salts into our water, suddenly our water has information. Because think about minerals as like information, and it's like giving your body all of these signals, telling it what to do. Let's increase muscular contraction and muscular sensitivity, right? So that we don't fall or trip. And this is a big problem in the elderly, is that they have poor motor control function. And that can be because of a lack of salts in their diet, these healthy salts. We also, again, nerve transmission, mental cognition, all of that can be enhanced by the presence of electrolytes or minerals in our water. So I want to just say this, that I think everyone would benefit by adding salt to your water. And let me tell you some symptoms that you might be experiencing that are going to tell you, hey, I might need more salt in my diet, or I might need more salts in, I might need to start adding more electrolytes into my water. So these are signs of low salt or low electrolytes. You are thirsty, you have unquenchable thirst, or you have no thirst. Isn't that cruel? It's a cruel trick of our biology. So if you are really dehydrated, your body is going to give up giving you signals of thirst. But if you're really thirsty and you're you're drinking water and peeing all the time, that is a sign that you don't have enough salt. So this can show up two opposite ways, but they're both indicating the same thing, is lack of electrolytes. So if either of those are you, then you are going to benefit from adding electrolytes and salt to your diet. So either having no thirst, having high thirst, urinating all the time, feeling dehydrated. One of the simplest ways I look for dehydration in my clients is in their fingertips. When the fingertips start to get pruny, like when you've been in the water for a long time, that is a sign of dehydration. Another sign is the lips will start to crack and get dry. And that is a sign of dehydration and lack of salts. Hangnails, if you get in your cuticles, hangnails are like, ripped, dried cuticles, that's a sign of low silica, which can be benefited from trace minerals, salts, and herbs. If you have low energy or you feel faint, if you have heart disease, that can be a sign, muscle fatigue, headaches. All of these are symptoms that you might need more salt in your diet. I also wanted to read to you something from this Ayurvedic textbook by Vasant Lad, who is a really very, very well-known Ayurvedic doctor who teaches at an Ayurvedic school. This is a textbook. This is not this is a hardcover textbook. It is very dense. And in this book, Dr. Vasant Lad goes through all of the tastes and their physiological and psychological properties. So I wanted to read this to you. Physiologically, salt enhances spirit, confidence, courage, enthusiasm, and interest. If you eat a salt free diet for 1 month, you will experience dullness and depression and lose your creativity. An inquiring, probing mind comes from the salty taste. If you remove salt from your diet, you will feel tired, fatigued, lack interest. Your whole life will become bland. Salty taste improves the flavor in a relationship. However, excess salt can, like sweet, create temptation, addiction, attachment, greed, possessiveness, and other kapha, or like earthy, watery disorders, as well as pitta or fiery problems such as irritability. If you open a bag of salty chips, your hand automatically goes back to the bag. And unless someone stops you, it is hard to stop eating them. That is the addictive power of the salty taste. Salt can go both ways. It can enhance spirit, confidence, courage, enthusiasm, and interest in life. Otherwise, without salt, life can feel bland. And I think of a lot of the elderly people I know, including my grandmother, who've cut salt out of their diet. And it's amazing how a lack of salt can really hurt the spirit. And I think about her parents, my great grandparents, who were from Sicily. And they had mild heart disease, which I think honestly part of it is just age, but they ate salty foods and they were gardening, vital. They were out and about until they died at the ages of 94 and 95. And they ate salt. They ate sea salt. They put sea salt on everything. So I think that there's something to be said for taking salt away from people that can really damage their spirit. So pay attention to that, and also pay attention to excess salt and what that can do in the body as well. Now, I wanted to also talk about how to increase salty taste and maintain electrolyte balance, some tips and some keys. So the first thing that I recommend, if any of this is ringing true, if you want to add more electrolytes and salt to your diet, is take a pinch of sea salt. Now, there are different types of sea salt out there. There is Himalayan pink sea salt, there is gray sea salt, and then there is red sea salt. Let me tell you about the differences of these. So I remember when I went to visit one of my herb teachers, Margie Flint, up in Marblehead, Massachusetts. I flew in on a plane. It was like a long flight. I had my 6-month-old daughter with me and my nanny who was helping so I could do my studies with her. And I arrived and Margie looked at me and she goes, "Ashley, you are dried out. Look at your lips." And my lips were just dry and they were like chapping and flaking. She's like, "Come with me, come with me." So I had my Yeti water bottle and she had these 3 different salt containers. She had red salt, she had the pink Himalayan, and then she had the gray salt. She said, "You need the gray salt because you are dehydrated." She said, "Gray salt is the moistest of all the salts." So I just want to show you, and it looks very, very moist. I mean, it is moist. Oh, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can move my camera. So this is, if you can look at it, see how it's really bunched up? It's like it's a little out of focus. Yeah. But this salt is holding water right here in my hand. When it was in a sealed bag. When I opened the bag, it was still wet. So gray sea salt, and I really like this brand. This is Celtic sea salt. It's called Light Gray Celtic Vital Mineral Blend. And this is the one that I use the most, and I just add a pinch of it into my water bottle and I mix it. So I'm getting trace minerals, I'm getting salt, and I'm getting hydration. Because one of the other things that salt does is, like I said, when you taste it, it adds moisture and it helps your body hold moisture in the organs, in the tissues, in the body. So that's one simple thing you can do. So what is the difference? So gray sea salt is the most moistening. Red sea salt, which is from Hawaii, I've ordered it before. is going to be, it's the most activating. So if you want a more stimulating salt with a lot of iron in it, if you tend to be a little bit anemic, that red color comes from the iron. So that is going to be very good for building blood, building energy, and adding a little bit more heat in your body. So that would be the red sea salt or Hawaiian sea salt. And then the pink Himalayan sea salt is probably the most neutral. And it has a bunch of trace minerals in it as well, but it's going to be more, it's not going to be really wet or drying. It's neutral is the best way I can describe it. So you can have all three on hand, keep them in cute little jars, depending on the day and your mood, or depending on if you're seeing clients. That's how you can distinguish between the three. Okay. What are other ways you can get minerals? Well, you can also use something like an electrolyte drink. This is what I bring when I go work out in the gym. I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I do cardio, I do weightlifting, I'm sweating, I'm losing a lot of minerals. And so each one of these packets has about 1,000 milligrams of sodium chloride, but it also has magnesium, potassium, a little bit of stevia extract, so it is sugar free. They also have, some of them have malic acid, but yeah, they all have potassium, magnesium, and regular salt. So I like to use these when I go to the gym with a pinch of this. So that's like your best blend ever. And this brand, I have no affiliation with either of these brands. This is just what I personally use, and I'll include links. These taste really good too. And I think for people that have a hard time drinking water, myself included, I'll raise my hand, is that this will help you drink water. So for right now, I drink about a gallon of water a day, just to give you an idea. So I drink 4 of these 32 ounces of water per day, and I urinate a lot, but I usually add 1 of these and then sea salt to my water. So I drink usually 1 of these a day. If I'm going to be going really hard at the gym, or it's like a hot summery day and I'm working in the garden, I might drink 2 of these packets in a day. But you have to drink it with a lot of water if you want to get that hydrating effect. And I weigh like what, 112 to 114. So I'm like petite. I'm a small person. So you might be able to get away with more. For the salt, I usually use about a solid pinch, was probably about a teaspoon in each water bottle. So that's some ways. Now, what about herbs? Oh my gosh, there are so many herbs that are high in minerals and electrolytes. Nettles is probably one of my favorite. This is my nettles this is my small jar that I have up here from my harvest this year. Bright, bright green, really high in calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, high in iron. So if you're low in iron, nettles is a wonderful herb for increasing all of your mineral needs. This is Go-To Cola from, this one is from, let's see, this one is from Mountain Rose Herbs, and it's a little bit old. It's a little gray or a little brown. It's not as green as it was. So this is getting older, but Go-To Cola is a wonderful herb. It grows in Sri Lanka and India, and it's very, very salty, the taste. Like when you brew a tea with it, you'll taste the salt pretty quickly. It's really good for the brain. It's eaten by elephants in the gullies in India. And so the Brahmins, the ancient like, or the like meditators, seekers, the yogis in India and in those regions would notice that the elephants ate this herb that grows prolifically in these gullies. And they noticed that, elephants are very known for being very wise, having very good memories. They're very kind, compassionate, loyal creatures. And so the story goes that the yogis watched the elephants eating this plant, and then they started to brew it. And they noticed that it increased their own mental function, deepened their meditative states, and helped overall with their health and vitality and memory. So that is, that's how it's used in Ayurveda. In the West, we use it as a very mineral-rich herb, really good for nerve regeneration and for connective tissue health. So really good for the joints and connective tissue repair. Other herbs that you can add in would be oat straw, very high in a bunch of different minerals, including silica. Horsetail is probably our plant that is highest in silica. So if you have those hangnails, dry chapped lips, you want to add a little bit of horsetail, maybe like a teaspoon or two to your overnight infusion. Other herbs would be dandelion. Leaves are really high in potassium. They're a potassium sparing diuretic. So if you do worry about hypertension and you don't want to hold too much fluid in your body, add some dandelion leaves to your herbal tea blends. And that way you will keep your potassium, but still allow the excess water to flow out of your body. So let me give you a recipe. This is a sample recipe for a mineralizing tea blend. So in a 4 ounce or a quart jar or 4 cup, mason jar or bottle, jar. This is about half gallon. So it'd be about half of this. Okay. So you are going to add about half a cup of dried nettles, a quarter cup of oat straw, a few tablespoons of gotu kola, a few tablespoons of horsetail. Add a teaspoon, trust me on this, add a teaspoon of cinnamon and add a pinch of salt. And then boil up some water, like boil 4 cups of water, pour that hot boiling water over the herbs in the jar, cap it, and let it sit 8 hours. I like to let mine sit overnight. So maybe like 10 hours is fine, 8 to 10 hours. And then in the morning, after it's steeped all night, pour it through a strainer and then drink that throughout the day. You're going to love it. It's going to taste like you're going to taste the minerals. You're going to taste the vitamins. You're going to taste the chlorophyll, which is so good for our body. And you're going to start to feel more energy, more vitality, better cognitive function. Your fingertips won't look pruny. Your lips will start to look full and plump again. And it's pretty amazing how this simple drink can be helpful. I will add one more herb to the blend as a challenge, is marshmallow root. So add in a few tablespoons of dried marshmallow root for that thick demulcency. Marshmallow is also salty. It has tons of minerals, but if you run really dry, if you add marshmallow root to that tea blend formula, it will help the fluids stick to your tissues and you'll get really hydrated. If you suffer from constipation or dry skin, dry hair, if you're losing hair, add the marshmallow in. And I promise you, you will feel your body getting really moist and plump, and all of your, everything that's dry will start to get moist again. It's pretty incredible. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that was helpful and insightful. Maybe you're already salivating, thinking about how you can add some salt to your oatmeal, to your food, to your soups, to your stews, to your stir fries. Or maybe you're already craving some water with an electrolyte blend, or you're going to put an order into your favorite local herb shop for your herbs to start brewing your overnight tea. And this is something you can drink all year long. And you don't have to take breaks. There's no maximum. These are just mineral rich herbs that will help you all year long. So thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any of your favorite herbs that you like to use, or any tips you use for staying hydrated or for supporting your own electrolyte balance. I always love to hear from you. So thank you, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.